God, Beyonce, we gotta do that. It wasn't until this moment that I found out from Stuart that I thought I got a free year of car insurance, so I really didn't know what the State Farm Award was gonna do, so I'm gonna shake him down in the back there. Or at least dinner with Dennis Haysbert, right? That wouldn't be so bad. That would be pretty fun. And I'd like to take a moment. I don't know how many of our colleagues, I only see a few, but if we could give a round to the men and women of Local 2 who work here in our hotel industry and do so much to support the economy of San Francisco. You know, a lot of our people work as servers in the hotels, and the diversity of the people in Local 2 is just amazing, and they remember you. If you chat and catch up, I had a gay guy that I loved, hooked me up on what the vegetarian meal and the gluten-free meal was and the things I had to do, so it's worth your while. Let me just say, first of all, thank you to EQCA and your outstanding leadership. Rick is unbelievable. An incredible board of directors that's here. I got to give a shout out to Bo Hayward, who I love. The great staff. I just want to say this is going to be one of the most memorable and great moments of my life because of the love in this room. So many people that I respect so much, people who've been loving and helpful to me, people that maybe I don't know yet. I met the CFO tonight of EQCA, and she knocked my socks off, Felicia, in just a few minutes that I met her, and so it was great. And let me just say, I appreciate everybody being so quiet. I love that. Usually you're really fighting over the crowd, but the La Crema has really worked its magic, and you guys are pretty chill. But I got to give some love, because I have a power-packed table of elected officials. And first, I'm going to be biased and mention Jose Cisneros, who's the city treasurer, who does such amazing work, my child's godfather. My former intern in the Willie Brown days, who's the president of the Board of Supervisors, London Breed. Please support her this year. I'm a recent D5 resident now. The amazing, and I love her second term because she is so outspoken and fearless, and she is calling it and doing it and gonna have a great future, the one and only Malia Cohen, looking totally fine tonight. And my friend who hates this acknowledgement, but I am old enough to say that I loved Robert F. Kennedy, and someone who I have seen as a politician stand in every room, in every community, and be an affinity, and to feel the pain and the suffering of people, and to take action and leadership, Supervisor Jane Kim. And I want all the gay men to hate me, so I'm going to ask my partner to stand up, Corey Lambert. You all should hate me that I am that damn lucky, okay? I got a little bit of love, just a little bit of love. Malia and Corey fought about the candy favors, and he threatened to cut her if she took his sour lips, which was really embarrassing. And I just want to acknowledge Corey's dad, who's here from Muskegon, Michigan, Mark Lambert. I appreciate his love and support. So to pick it up, let me say I'm over the moon to be honored with some of the incredible people tonight. Nancy Pelosi, George Takei, who's an icon, someone I've loved so much, Kathy Levinson, who's done so much for the movement, and we share so many friends and love in common. Earlier this year, the BAR asked me my political predictions for 2016, and my first was that Nancy Pelosi is going to return as Speaker of the House of Representatives after this November election. And if you believe that, stand up. Can we stand up for Nancy Pelosi to be the Speaker of the House of Representatives? It's going to happen. It's only 30 seats. Nobody works like she does. Nobody works like she does. Nobody works like she does. And Dolores Huerta is sitting with her. God bless. And she sustains Nancy and the great leader that she is. A lot of you are not old enough that you saw Nancy's first speech on the House floor the day that she was sworn in 1987. And she broke tradition. She didn't just thank people. She didn't just say she was looking forward to talking and working with people. She said, you know what, the federal government needs to do a better job in responding to the AIDS epidemic. She made people uncomfortable. And she stood up and she said, we should respond to an epidemic with science and care. No one ever will question where Leader Pelosi has been on this issue. And there were not many people fighting for us in Congress in those days, and she fought for us. And let me tell you, she just fights harder and she just gets better, okay? So I'm sorry, I love you, and I just have to say it. I can't help myself. So in the Bevan world, courage, conviction, and perhaps most of all, compassion should never go out of style for those who want to represent us. And I'm going to take us back in time and say that 40 years ago, I went to Washington, D.C. through the Cal in the Capital program, Go Bears, to work for an early trailblazer, and I hope her picture is up. I got to work for Brooklyn Representative Shirley Chisholm, the first black woman in Congress, and 1972 presidential candidate. So what was my lucky break? Mrs. Chisholm had never learned how to drive a car. Most of her staff were moms. I know, that's my car, sorry. Most of her staff were amazing moms with kids or partners that didn't want to stay late for all the House votes, because the House actually had votes and did things back in those days. But I had driven this AMC Pacer across country, and it was referred to as the mobile terrarium. And you know what? Miss C didn't care, and we went everywhere together. Every week she had a meeting with Jimmy Carter at the White House, being part of the House leadership, or just late at night, we would go to this soul food carryout behind bulletproof glass on South Capitol Street and get her a pork chop box and some mac and cheese and greens, and that was just what we did. And you know, I got to learn so much about the world of politics, and Miss C talked to me about the racism and sexism that she faced, and it really forged in my mind what I wanted to do in politics and why I wanted a career. And perhaps my defining political fight is how we as a society, a city, a community, and a county respond to homelessness. Homelessness is a civil rights issue. 1 out of every 5 black veterans in America is homeless tonight. Homelessness is an LGBT issue. Even in this perceived queer mecca, 29% of our homeless population identifies as LGBT. Homelessness is an immigrant rights issue. Undocumented transgender Latinas face violence, often fatal, and high rates of HIV infection when denied access to jobs, housing, or the dignity that others, because they have citizenship, have. And I can tell you that the path out of homelessness is far too complex and bureaucratic for people who have often failed or been failed by systems throughout their lives, whether it's family, school, work, or community. If you respond to homelessness by giving people the opportunity to fail, that is exactly the result that you're going to get. I'm talking about the waiting lists, the lotteries, cutting people from benefits for missing an appointment, evicting people from city-sponsored housing for anything other than violence, anything that strays from Housing First. I fought tenaciously to open the SF Navigation Center because I knew from dozens and dozens of people on the street that shelters did not work for them because of violence, because of bullying, because of the inability just for a man and woman to stay together in a shelter as partners, the inability just to have your possessions, to have your pets with you. All of these things kept people from coming in the front door. And why couldn't we have a facility that let people come and go and not go through metal detectors and feel like they were in a prison? And there had to be direct and dynamic access to housing. Government spends so much money mitigating the effect of people living on the streets. We arrest them, we clean up behind them and push them with street cleaners, put them in jail, send them through a court system where tickets that don't mean anything, put them in emergency rooms because we don't give them access to health care. And we spend 50 to 100% more than we would to put people in permanent supportive housing. And I love EQCA because they care about homelessness, and I've tweeted on that, and I'm so grateful that they do care about it. In San Francisco, there are 2,000 children right now who are homeless in our public schools. They are living in cars. They often have to wait 6 months for shelter. They're cramped couch surfing. They're living in single-room occupancy hotels that are hellacious and no place that anyone would ever want to have a child. And right now, in my Citizen Bevan, I'm trying to help a mom whose kid is a classmate of Sid's, and she has a Section 8 certificate. and she's trying to find a 2-bedroom apartment. Ironically, she works in a transitional housing program for homeless families. This mom had a great apartment in the Ingleside, but when her landlord, after 9 years, went to get a rent increase from the housing authority, they were told that the housing authority was so understaffed that it would take 9 months to get a rent increase that he was due, and that it would not be retroactive. And he apologized, and he went to her and he said, "I'm sorry, I can't rent to you anymore." And I just want to say there are a lot of fabulous people. Gay people run the world, and if anybody can help me find a 2-bedroom apartment in San Francisco, I'm game for it, so come talk to me. And I have to say that, I love Nancy because she has very high standards. I admire the people that work for her because I know they work hard. But I got to tell you that my experience in looking at the city and some other governmental agencies, the service that matter the most to poor and homeless people are run the least efficiently because the clients are not perceived to be politically powerful or influential. In San Francisco, our Section 8 housing voucher waiting list has been closed since 2001. Can you imagine a service that people rely upon, a waiting list being closed for 15 years? When I decided to leave city government, Jennifer Friedenbach, my palsy walsy, this is director of the Coalition on Homelessness, wrote something about me in 48 Hills. The interesting thing about Dufty is that he treated the job very differently from all his predecessors. He saw homeless people and homeless service providers as his constituents. He reached out to them, found out what was working for them and what needed to change. This demonstrated a true desire to find real solutions to the issue of homelessness, not just solutions that made great sound bites, but sustained solutions that made a difference. And I'm not done. I support Supervisor David Campos in declaring a homeless state of emergency in San Francisco. Everyone knows, whether you're on the street or you're affected by people on the street, that it is unprecedented. And Supervisor Kim's district has 50% of the people living on the street in our city, in her very district, that she works so hard to represent. But if that is not a state of emergency, I don't know. And I appreciate Supervisor Kim standing up and asking the state to declare a state of emergency, given all the California cities that are affected by homelessness. I really am not done. Be clear, I'm retired but not retiring. And from working with hundreds, if not thousands of homeless people, I know that people do not want to live on our streets. I love you all. Please join me in this journey. I believe that citizens really can change it, and homelessness is our issue, and it's our calling. God bless you. Thank you so very much.